Hey folks, this is Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and for those of you that have heard, and even those that haven't, George Animal Steele, WWE Hall of Famer, famous wrestler from the 60s, 70s, 80s, has passed away today due to kidney failure. He was 79 years old. Married to the same woman in 1956 till the day of his death. I mean, now, if that isn't a long-running marriage, I don't know what is. He did only wrestle for like 21 years due to health issues. And if you think about it, he debuted at age 30 and actually wrestled till he was 51. And he'd made appearances and stuff like that after that, but his most famous run, he was a big Michigan buff. Actually was a very educated man. You could tell in interviews that he had. And Bruno Sammartino took a liking to him. He actually started in wrestling in 67 under a mask called The Student. And I pulled up some stuff so I could get a little more history background for you guys. But yeah, he was even trained in wrestling. While his more famous runs showed him as more of a goofy, ripping the turnbuckle character, he was actually a pretty accomplished wrestler. Pretty talented. I mean, obviously can't say that the guy was the greatest ever, but he would, do goofy stuff and everything and that kind of crap. He was a crazy heel. He would just do outlandish, crazy things, but it would get over. I mean, George Animal Steele was somebody that, like during the late 60s and 70s or whatever, would cultivate and establish his career, and then would start with Vince McMahon's bunch when they were doing the whole Rock and Wrestling Connection and stuff like that. He would do he would do all the goofy catchphrases and all the weird noises that he did. He did end up turning babyface at one point, which did help his character quite a bit. He would wrestle. He would wrestle like Randy Savage for the IC title, and also when he had fondness for Elizabeth, he appeared. I believe he appeared and even wrestled in WrestleMania 1. He wrestled at WrestleMania 2. I don't remember if he wrestled at WrestleMania 3, because his body was starting to break down at that point. But he was somebody that you always had to gravitate to and keep your eye on. I mean, that's why I'm wearing a Randy Savage t-shirt, because that was one of the more famous matches that George Steele had later in his career. Randy Savage and him worked very well together. George Steele, even if you heard in interviews later, the guy always carried himself well, understood wrestling, was very eloquently spoken. And actually it was Crohn's disease that ended his career, but also at 51, time would have been ticking short anyway. And he was let go by the WWE in 1990, but if you think about the amount of stuff that he had, the craziness, the ripping of the turnbuckle, and the weird stuff, and the looking around, and the different colored tongue that he would have, he really did have a pretty good career. He had a pretty good career. He was brought into the WWE Hall of Fame, which it was long overdue. It's about time that when he had gotten put in there. It's like, damn, about time for all that he had done for Vince and for wrestling in general. But one of the most famous things that I remember of George Animal Steele's career, not even of his wrestling career, it's him as an actor. The movie Ed Wood, him as playing Tor Johnson, who was another former wrestler turned actor that was in a lot of cheesy sci-fi and monster movies and stuff like that in the 50s and 60s. And George the Animal Steele was perfect perfect for Tor Johnson. I would recommend that you guys watch that. It was a really well done movie, but he was also spectacular because he captured the fact that Tor Johnson was, cast as this bumbling fool and everything, but yet he was also somebody that that was very eloquently spoken. Tor Johnson was eloquently spoken also. I mean, I never, and that's only based on interviews I've heard about him. I've never actually seen interviews of him. Obviously, since back then I wasn't around, and I was not around for a vast majority of George Animal Steele's career. But I do remember enough of when I was a kid and watching back some of his stuff. He was just somebody that you could always watch, that you could always just watch and you could enjoy, and you could realize that he really enjoyed what he did, and he entertained a lot of people. Him and his wife have 3 kids, and it's such a shame that George Animal Steele passed away. But he did get to live. He did get to live to almost 80. Some wrestlers don't get to live that long. Wrestlers like Nicole Bass did pass away at 52. And Chavo Guerrero Sr. passed away at 68. I want to do this one about George Steele, just a short one, because it is sad, and he was a very good wrestler. So if I gave a few details about his career that you enjoyed, great. I'm really just doing this just to bring to light and say, George Animal Steele, you were missed. You were a great talent, a great human being, and I hope you are at peace. That is my show. So follow me on Twitter if you'd like. It's in the description. Like, share, and subscribe. George Animal Steele, rest in peace.